Okay. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining in today for today's session um, of Design Nuances Edu Series. For this series, the objective is that you learn the nuances of a new topic specific to design, architecture, or fashion. You get introduced to a new school and understand their purpose, and you interact with an expert and absorb the knowledge that they share. So we're going to shorten this up a little today. Generally we do it from 9:15 to 10:30, but today onwards we're going to shorten it up from 9:15 to 10:15, right, including Q&A. So please, during this webinar, kindly keep your microphones on mute unless you're asked to respond. If you would like to respond, please raise your hand, and you're most welcome to. We'll moderate your questions in, we'll moderate your comments in, and we'll give you an opportunity as well. So today we are talking about the principles of design, and the school that's been invited to speak about this is Strate School of Design, which is based in Bangalore. Mandar Kale. All right. So Mandar Kale is representing Strate School. He's a mechanical engineer, industrial designer, and design educator. And he calls himself a design generalist. All right. Keen observer. He views design as juggling act of creation, communication, and implementation with user emotion at the core of all activities. I think this is a very well, encompassed um, description or definition, right? So his role currently is in building a design school from ground up and conceptualizing future generation of designers at Strate School of Design, Bangalore, where he heads academic as well as the product design department. Prior to Strat, Mandar was in a leadership role at ISD Rubika, India, heading an international team of designers to conceive and build conducive and inspiring learning environments. He's been appreciated for his impact on students and his approach to inclusive learning. As a design coach and teacher for over a decade, he has taught the design process, creativity, speculative design, design visualization, sketch thinking, and at the postgraduate and undergraduate levels. Just one second. Okay. He's an alumnus of the IDC School of Design at IIT Bombay. He's worked across various domains, including automotive, medical products, lifestyle products, retail environments, FMCG, and point of sale, creating products, services, and experience, right? For those of you who are interested in applying to Strat School of Design, Strat School of Design is listed on DQ Edge. I'll be sharing the link to Strat School of Design listing, and I'll also be sharing the application link for the school. I'll be sharing it on Google, on YouTube, as well as Zoom. Mandar, thanks so much for joining in. Go ahead and take it from here.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you to DQ and to you to invite me on this Sunday morning. I'm quite excited to speak about something as fundamental as principles of design. Design is something which is ever evolving, right, and ever changing to the context and to the environment. But you could argue that there are some principles which remain evergreen. So that's what probably we are going to speak about a little. So warm good morning to everyone. As usual, over the last 2 years, the first thing to check is if I can share my screen, and if you are able to see it. Yeah, you should be able to see it. Oh,
It's not yet able to see it.
Check if. Yeah.
Could you stop and reshare?
Okay, just give me 1 minute. Yeah, I will. Um, okay, let me try it again.
Yeah.
Should work this time. Are you able to see?
Yes, yes. Now it's visible.
Great. So welcome, welcome everyone. A little bit about me before we get into the details. I think Dion already uh, gave a comprehensive introduction. So yes, so that's me. I'm the head of academics and head of product design at Strate Bangalore. I've been fortunate enough to kind of have a very generalist approach to design, which means that I've done a variety of things. I'm not a specialist in one particular domain or field. And then over the last decade, I've been involved with students, I've been involved with young designers to kind of help them navigate both the design school as well as their early careers. So that's, let's say, the LinkedIn definition or the professional definition. For me, sometimes people call me Manshik the magician, not because I wear a hat or a coat, but just because sometimes, students disappear when I go in class. So having said that, by day, like Dion was saying, and like I was saying earlier, so I work a lot with people. That's been my role. So I've moved on from designing products or experiences to kind of being with people, understanding them, understanding students, teachers, management, and then kind of bringing everyone together to build something special in the school. So that's usually how my day goes. By night, I still continue to exercise the creative part of my brain. So I like to draw and I like to put out some new ideas into the world. So you see some examples here. Um, I also am interested in science fiction, so I do some concept art. I'm looking at where humanity would go, the current trend of AI, and all these things. So that's something which you could call it a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of a personality, let's say. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm the head of academics at Strate. So Strate, more than a school, I think it's for us, design is not just a profession, right? It's not just a discipline. It's not just you do something which is 9 to 5 or you do for money. We really believe that design is almost like a transformation field. It's like a superpower, let's say, which on one side is extremely demanding, but on the other side is extremely fulfilling as well, right? So make sure that for us, we design like we care, let's say. Um, the goal of the school is also to be international, and the goal of designers is to be international, because that's going to be the new challenge. There are the same product which sells in North America sells here, and as you would have heard, right? There's especially post pandemic, everything is just a click away, and there's a lot of exchange of culture. So going international is a new playground. We have one international syllabus and 4 campuses: Paris, Bangalore, Lyon, and Dakar, which will be starting soon. That's how the school will look eventually. This is where we started off. So you see some old pictures here. That's how Start Lyon will look. A little bit about the design curriculum. So we offer a BSc and MSc in design from India, plus a START certification. And we are training the next century's designers. There are 5 streams which we are offering, out of which 4 are on currently. So that's mobility, which is design of everything which moves, uh, which is more emotional, let's say, and more skill. Product, which is more practical, which is more ergonomics, materials, understanding of functionality, right from a toothbrush to a mouse or to any other physical objects, let's say. Identity, which is we are looking at branding, marketing, all the different touch points, and basically the relationship that brands have with people. Interaction, which is web, apps, but not just that, it's AR, VR, IoT, smart objects, voice, and really designing tomorrow's services and experiences. And space, which is about designing public spaces for efficient and pleasant experiences. um, Internships, I think that's another thing which is a big part of the school. A total of around 17 months in the 5 years. um, where you have some. So this is the first one is a working internship. Then you have two uh, design internships, out of which one is necessarily international. And then you also have a 6 month internship at the end of the fifth year. Also, the other thing which differentiates us and something that we work hard to build is that we are not doing only theory, or we are not doing just the theory. You would have all the courses are, let's say, a half an hour of demo and 1.5 or 2 hours of work. So the courses are not just something that you come to school and then you listen to someone speak, but you are working in the class, you're working with the teacher or the mentor or the coach, and most of our faculty are from the industry. The other thing which strengthens this industry connect is, of course, industry partnerships, where we have had projects with different companies. Currently, we are doing a project with the cookware brand Stahl. We've had a big project with Tata. So here, the projects are given and mentored by the industry along with us. So the industry experts work with the students, and so sometimes, some of the students' work is actually going to be on the market before they graduate. Strategic partnerships as well, which helps us keep an eye on where the design scene is going, where the industry is going, what is the industry expecting out of young graduates, anticipating the future challenges, both as the design industry as well as the how design industry interacts with marketing, business, and other things. Um, so to conclude, I think the main goal of the school is to, here we are extremely portfolio or professionalism focused, which means that everything that we do in the school is geared towards a portfolio at the end of year three for your internship, right? We are not doing things which are a little bit abstract or which are only academic. Whatever goes on in the school is kind of has an impact on or is contributing towards the portfolio, because we feel a portfolio is your professional ID card, not your mark sheet, not your 10th, 12th, not how much you scored or your marks, but really what you can do. We have 50 partner schools that you can leverage. We have a school advisory board as well with David Caravello, who's the director at Pininfarina, Ajay Jain, who heads Tata, and Philippe Vahe, who heads the design team at Carrefour. We are a member of the World Design Organization as well as of Cumulus. In terms of the admission, there's the direct route where after 12th or after diploma, you could get into the first year. We need a 50% minimum from a recognized board, and it could be any stream. There are scholarships. So there's the iLead scholarship, which is capability and skill based. So it's a project based scholarship. And of course, there are some other scholarships available as well. There is a possibility to do a lateral entry. It could be in second or third year after design education, not after any other. But if you're doing, if you're in a design school and you want to shift, that's also something that can be done. I'll skip through this. I think Dion can cover it later, and you would already get some links for that. So having said this, I think we can come to the topic at hand today, right? And let's try to make it as interactive, so you can stop me at any time. I will also be asking you some questions, your comments. But before we get into principles of design, I'm sure you've heard this word before, right? You must have used some of the principles. You must have learned some of the principles. You would have you would have heard this word principles in science class as well. So it could be the Bernoulli principle, let's say, or it could be the Venturi effect, or it could be any other principle, right? Where you would you would assume that a principle is the truth, let's say, but in design you would see that that's probably not the case. So what we are going to look at is there could be hundreds of principles. If you just Google principles of design online, you will get a variety of things. If right from Gestalt laws to good design principles and so on. But for the next 15 to 20 minutes, I really want you to put on your thinking hat and your observation hat, and then let's have a conversation around, right? Um, have you heard of Dieter ramps? Maybe you can raise your hand if there are people who have heard of the Dieter ramps, and I can see it here and make it a little bit more interactive. All right, you can raise your hands. So Dieter Rams is a influential, famous designer. He was a he had a big impact on product design, let's say, over the years, and he's famously known for his 10 principles or 10 commandments of good design, right? If you read some of these are very obvious. Okay, first is good design is innovative, and you can say, yeah, okay, we talk about innovation because design is about doing something new. So it's obvious it has to be innovative. Okay, but if you take five, let's say it says good design is unobtrusive. Uh, what do you think this means? Maybe someone can raise. You can raise your hand and maybe put it in the chat. Or if you take any of these, and I would like to know your interpretation. Good design is environmentally friendly, which seems straightforward as well. uh, anyone anyone wants to comment? Okay, let's move on. I think so what we're going to do today is let's just take one as an example. So I've taken good design makes a product understandable. Yeah. So anyone who feels that or who has a problem with this statement, or who feels that maybe this is not a very accurate statement, good design makes a product understandable, maybe you can raise your hand. Okay, let's try to keep it as interactive as we can. Like I said, I'm not the person who's going to tell you these are the principles, because the principles keep evolving. Design is about interpretation and context, right? So everything is going to be about context. So let's take an example. So this is a classic case of uh, a Braun calculator, which has inspired many. It's inspired the iPhone calculator and so on. So would you say that this principle, so I'm going to put the principle on the left side top, and there's an image on the right, and we are going to try and see if we agree that this object fits that principle, right? So you can have any kind of a view. There is no right and wrong. It's just about your interpretation. So for the next 20 minutes, we are going to try and exercise our mind. Yeah. So don't think of it as someone who's telling you what is right and wrong, but more or less, I'm provoking a response from you. So let's. Who thinks that this is an example of good design, or good design makes a product understandable? Does this fit this principle? Maybe you can raise your hand if you feel it fits, or I have some. What does being honest mean? Oh, very interesting question. Okay, I think we are going to choose that the next. So we'll keep that question very, especially in today's world, right? What does being honest mean is like a very big philosophical question. When you have fake news, when you have social media, all of that. Okay, do you feel this fits? We used to do match the following, right? Do you feel it fits this principle? Is it understandable? Okay, maybe I can start with yeah, I think it's clear. Every button has one particular function. There is a green and a red, which tells me there's on and off. Let's say the screen is clear. Okay, all right. Yes, okay, understandable. We are getting some comments. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so overwhelmingly it seems yes. All right. Let's see this. I'm sure you've maybe seen this meme earlier. So what you see on the left is what was uh, the designer thought would be something which is great, something which should be understandable, and what you see on the right is what people assumed it to be. So is this now the question is this product understandable? Does this fit the principle? No. Okay. No, because people don't understand it for what it is, right? And people are thinking that this kind of an opening is for a garbage can. But you would agree that if you see the brand Bose on top, why would people think of it as a garbage can? Let's say, because then if Bose is making a garbage can, it's going to be very expensive, garbage can. So any thoughts on why we are feeling this? Is it because of the color? Is it because of the shape? Is it because of the proportions? Okay, let's take another example. So we've all used taps at home, right? I mean, there are different kinds of taps. Location kept at corner. Okay, interesting. Let's go back. So Vashika has a very interesting comment. So it's not only about the product, but it's about where it's kept. If it's kept in a corner at the side somewhere, that's usually a association that a garbage can would be there. As recognizable as Bose is, it's not like everyone knows what they sell. So that's another layer, which is about the perception of the brand, right? If you put Nike there, then people will be like, yes, but why would Nike make a box, right? Or it could become like a shoe dispenser, let's say. But not many people know what Bose does. So the brand is not strong enough to kind of take it away from this false perception. This could lead to confusion. Yes, Vedant and Vishika and Sahana, interesting points. The hollow openings don't entirely resemble a speaker and kind of look like a badly designed garbage can. Yeah. And this whole fact of a box and there being something which is hollow inside, usually you won't have speakers which have these two hollow things, right? And your association of a speaker is like a mesh, something which is rounded, something which has circles, because you see kind of the woofer and the speaker behind, right? The hollow openings don't entirely correct resemble the speaker. Okay, super. Now let's see about this. What do you feel? Have you ever wondered how to turn on or off a tap? Generally, especially when you go to hotels and you have some of these fancy taps. Do you feel this is understandable, or this fits? Maybe it doesn't have too many buttons and things like that, but I'm just looking at the opening and the closing, right? Mostly yes. Okay, might be confusing the first time around, but then within a try or two, you can easily tell whether it goes up and down or right or left. Okay, so yes, this is what I'm getting at, because when you see it first, you don't know whether you have to lift it up or whether you have to turn it to the side, right? So it's mostly yes, but could be better, could be something which is maybe a better, more understandable. Another example of what we use every day, right? So there are two things. It's manageable. Okay, maybe we could have a new principle and talk about good design makes a product manageable. I think that's an interesting take. uh, okay, it's yes, good design makes a product understandable. I think we are getting a lot of yeses. Any reason why? Isaya or Nitya or Vedant? Why do you feel it's understandable, or it's a good example of the principle? Okay, two simple buttons. But does everyone agree that? So, have you ever seen someone, especially older folks, who are uh, who understand that the arrows are to indicate where you want to go? I don't know. I've seen many people who press the arrow thinking that I want the lift to come down. So I'm pressing the down arrow. And the more I press, the lift will come faster, right? And then you have people kind of constantly pressing it. There are clear instructions. Arrows indicate whether to go up and down. Yes. So you would see again in terms of context. The other interesting point is there is braille at the side as well. So it's understandable to who is another question also, right? It's not just understandable to people who can see. It is understandable to even people who can't use their visual sense, right? So in that way, yes, good design makes a product understandable. If you look at it from, yeah, the braille is a good touch. If you look at it from another point of view, especially maybe now not so much, but when the lifts and automated lifts were just starting out, there were a lot of people who were confused about which arrow to press. But over time, it's very clear for everyone to. Okay, let's see one more example. And I'm sure this is something we have experienced. It could be at a hotel, it could be at a corporate building. Do you think it's just a glass door with this handle? Is it good design makes a product understandable? Is it understandable? There has to be a pull or push sign. Yeah. Can be confusing as you don't know whether to push or pull the door. Absolutely. This works in most cases where it's both push and pull, but if not, a person might get it wrong on the first try. Okay. Interesting points. And not just on the first try, right? Because if it's a new building that you're going, if it's not your office, because then you build memory. So the onus of making it of understanding a product, especially something like this, is now put on the user, which means I need to remember. And just imagine if there is a building with 5 doors and some of them are push and some of them are pull, right? So then now you'll have to kind of keep in mind that first floor, fifth door on the right is push and the other door is pull. So for me, this is probably not a very good example of a good design makes a product understandable. On one hand, it does tell me that I have to grab it here, I have to hold it here, but there could be other ways of showing a push pull is one, an arrow is another, an indent in the handle is something else, which tells you to push or pull. Okay, let's see. So now let's come back to, so we looked at good design makes a product understandable. Uh, let's see the other, and I think there was a question earlier about what is honesty. Whew. Okay, so let's take good design is honest as an example, and let's see if you can find some other examples to speak about, right? So I'm sure you have seen this on buildings. What do you feel? Is it honest? Does it tell you what it does? Honesty, let's say, at least in this sense, could mean that the product tells me what it's supposed to do or what it is meant for. So does this look honest? Is it honest? What do we feel? Yes, maybe no. This might be, I think. Okay, so there is some debate here. We have a no, we have a this might be honest. I think it's honest. How can we navigate around it? On one hand, you could say that I don't feel like touching it or being near it because it's spiky. So it's honest. It tells clearly that don't come near me, let's say. Is this used on gates and railings to keep birds and animals away? Yes, those are the bird spikes. Is it honest in terms of a global or humanity understanding of whether that's something that you should do, whether it shouldn't be? Maybe you could find a less or a more humane way of coexisting with birds, and maybe not. But I think maybe just in terms of, do you understand what the product does? Yes, it honestly communicates. It's not, if you were to compare it to a mousetrap, right? If you were to compare that, the mousetrap tells its users, oh, come, 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 I have cheese and I have food. And then it traps them. So maybe that's not as honest, right? But here it's telling everyone, don't come here, you will get hurt if you come here. There might have been inspiration for it, but it is honest in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's honest because it clearly says what it wants to do compared to a mouse trap, which, like the word says, traps someone by being dishonest about what it is. Okay, let's take another example. Have you seen this object before? And do you think it's honest? Yeah, there might have been inspiration. Okay. It seems honest as it invites the user to do what the fidget cube wants you to do. Yeah, because there's nothing around it. There are 5 buttons. It's a cube. like a dice. There is good contrast between the base of the cube and all the touch points. Everything which is to be touched, you have a good contrast between that and the base layer, right? So you can feel that, yes, this is where you want to touch it. So anyone who feels that it's not honest, I think it's a fidget cube, so which is a small cube where you can use it to keep fidgeting, which is pressing a button, making a toggle switch, using the steel ball to roll things around, using the joystick, and things like that. So it's another version of this fidget spinner, let's say, which was a rage. So that this is a fidget cube. Now, there's in terms of the product, yes, it's honest. You could look at it in another way and say that. Do you really need a product to fidget? I mean, you could just do it with a pen. Is it encouraging fidgetedness? Let's say. So in that way, you could take the argument anywhere else, but it may be confused with the dice. Yes. But I think overall we can agree that this is, let's say, honest. What do you feel about this? I'm sure you've seen the Instax cameras. So in terms of the form, shape, honest, yes. You have buttons which are very clearly laid out. You have indications. It's easy to use. It doesn't seem complex like a mirrorless camera with lots of buttons, lots of settings. It's honest as its purpose is to click and print out Polaroid photos. Yes. It's honest also because you get the result there. It's not like you take a photo and then it's raw and then you have to transfer it and then you have to edit it and then you have to look for storage. So it's honest in its experience, but it's also honest in its form and shape here. I think at this point, everyone knows what a camera Polaroid is and it's very obvious. Yes. Okay, then what do we feel about this? As a design, as a shape, as a structure, the GoPro, let's say the Black 11 Black, do you feel it's honest? Okay, so maybe I'm going to leave this to you and we will move on to just another quick exercise. So we've looked at understandable. So good design makes a product understandable, which means that I understand its function, right? I understand where to press to do what. And then we've looked at good design is honest. Now, honest could, we are looking at, is it honesty of form, of purpose? Is it honesty of material? If you put fake carbon fiber to make something look fast, of course, it's not going to be honest, right? What is the difference between a product being honest and understandable? Yes, I think the reason, and I specifically chose these two just to prove the point that, or to talk about this point that, there is a lot of overlap, right? And there's a lot of interpretation of these words. So for me, honesty is about, understandable is I understand what I need to do to get the output from the product. So if you have a sharpener, a simple enough sharpener, let's say, you can sharpen the pencil, you know how to do it, and it's honest, it's understandable. But if you have a sharpener which is, let's say, made up of fake carbon fiber, or if you have a sharpener which is made up of steel where you don't need it to be made out of steel and plastic could have been better, cheaper, more recyclable, I don't know what, then maybe it's not honest enough. So honesty is about, is it, is the material the right choice? Is the function the right choice? Does it really showcase what it wants to do? And understandability is about the functionality of it. There could be other interpretations as well, and there's going to be overlap here as well. So let's take another, I think this would be the last set of examples. So we've looked at different examples of products. So let's take another, I think you've been home for the last 2 years, or let's say for a considerable time. And I don't know if you've been using the TV much, but what do you feel? Understandable, honest, or let's not take honest for now. Do you think this is understandable? Okay, then what about now? If you, let's try to compare these two. Okay, so is it understandable, or which one is more understandable, the black one or the white one? Okay, the white brushed finish is better. Yes, so remotes can be confusing at first to senior citizens, but over time people get used to it. Yeah, the white one is less cluttered and chaotic. Okay, so clutter and chaotic are two words which are coming out. Since the second one has better contrast and a better look as well, so it seems more understandable. So we are also looking at, so if you look at the fidget cube and the second remote, you would find, let's say, a similar principle where you have the base, which is, let's say, a dull color, and you have the buttons where you are interacting high contrast. So I can separate out the buttons from the base. Second is easier to operate. Okay, second one is more understandable as the buttons have different shapes. Interesting. So again, interesting point. If you see the volume button here, right? Now imagine that the volume button on the left part on the black remote, they're all circular, the channel and the volume buttons, and the navigation is also circular. Whereas on the right one, on the brushed finished one, you have the volume buttons which are rectangular, like a rounded, which are linear. So now there's already a clear, and it's making the remote a little bit more understandable. Even if I don't look at it, I can feel the button and use it. I would prefer the shape of the remote from the first one though. Okay. So there is one which is more understandable, but there is other which is more aspirational because because it has a definite shape or a clear shape. Okay. The second one has fewer buttons, and buttons convey their purpose well, right? You would see that there is grouping or hierarchy here as well, right? In the second one, there is something at the center, which is a circle. You have the four quadrants and the four circles at the four quadrant. Then you have the middle part, which is the volume and the channel. And then you have this block, which is like your old phones, right? So you can chunk it into blocks immediately. Whereas if you see the first one, it seems a little bit everywhere. You can't really immediately chunk it into better blocks. The second one has fewer buttons. Left is better for hand grip. Okay, interesting. Let's take one more example. Okay, what do we feel now? The second one is not easy to hold. Yeah. Okay. So now we have three. We have three, where the third one we could say is like a, this is too complex for an average user. Okay. You have a screen and you have, so this is the Harmony series of Logitech. Uh, So all three are built as universal remotes. Okay, so they're in the more or less the same category. Third one, buttons are too small. The overall look is very futuristic and complex. Okay, I like the third one the most. Yes, okay. Third one is a little cluttered. Yeah. So if you just look at the keypad, right, or the numbers. Okay, let's just compare the numbers between the first, second, and third. You would see that there's the middle one has a very specific and a very clear organization. Okay, I can consider it as a rectangle. The left one is a little bit spaced out and I don't recognize it from the other buttons so much. The right one, the third one, also it's a rectangle, but there is something which is odd because 7, 8, 9 are a little bit more spaced out compared to the 1 and the 4. The 0 is a little bit below, the plus and the E are a little bit different. So it seems like it has its own kind of a rhythm, let's say, going on. Third one, slightly distractible from the TV, the future remote. Buttons are so tiny that it might be tough to press. Yes, alignment. Dia, sorry, is talking about alignment. Alignment is off. That will lead to frustration from the user. Okay. So we've already, we have spoken about some principles in terms of products. Now we are looking at remote. These are different brands. Okay, there's G and Logitech. Let's just end with this. Oh, I think something has happened to the image here. Okay. What do we feel? So here, at least, okay, everything has a LED screen, LCD screen. All remotes have more or less the same amount of complexity or buttons. If you were to select one as the most understandable, would it be left, center, or right? Okay, the middle one. Okay, the middle one seems to be gaining popularity. Anyone who feels the leftmost one with the blue screen and the steel base. The third one will be okay. Okay, we have 2 votes for the second and 2 for the third. All right. So if you were to look, right, I mean, the second one seems a little bit more playful, but also there's a big difference because you have 2 areas, right? I mean, you have the top area, which is black base with gray buttons, and you have the bottom area. You have kind of a clear distinction. For the third one, everything is one tone, everything is white button, black buttons, which with white text. It might seem a little bit, it seems more aspirational or seems more aesthetic, let's say, but maybe when you're using it, yeah, so second, third one, but maybe it's not as understandable, let's say. Second one is understandable. You see that there is a grape and this like that, but maybe not the most appealing. I think the first one could be a mix of both as well. Again, it depends because you have the differentiation between the 2 parts. You have a clear understanding of the buttons, and you can continue to work on it. First one is appealing. I think is the image which is maybe not making it clear. Okay, so what do you feel? Okay, we have looked at good design is understandable. Good design is honest. And of course, there are many other principles as well. So the goal of talking about this and really debating and getting your input is to really drive home the fact that these principles of design are principles and they keep changing, right? There are some in terms of, it could be symmetry, it could be someone was saying alignment, someone was saying aesthetic, someone was saying details, someone was saying contrast, right? So there are various, so think of the principles as tools. You are not going to put all of these principles in one product. It's simply impossible to do, right? You're going to look at the principles of design are something that you choose 1 or 2 or 3, let's say, but the choice is going to be dependent on who you are designing for. So someone was talking about senior citizens, right? So the goal when we are designing a remote for senior citizen, and the principle should be being able to understand and use the remote is as the highest priority compared to it being it fitting their lifestyle, let's say, right? So think of it like this. I think the 10 principles of or the 10 commandments of good design by Dieter Rams is a great place to start. Going ahead, you could do a little bit of exercise. So take any product. So for example, I'm going to take this, which is like an air blower. Okay. You can blow air for the camera. Take any product and look at which principle of design fits it, let's say, or where does this product fit in these principles of design, and debate. You could do it as a group, you could do it as pairs, and it's just a fun thing to do. Okay, I will show you after. Okay, it's just a error. I'll show you after. All right, so that's it from me. I'm just going to do a quick recap. So like I said, CBR Start is just some examples of student work. So some key points. Let me just here. Yeah, so we are a pedagogical embassy for French design, rated among the top design schools in Europe. We talked about professionals working together, industry focused. A lot of emphasis on being practical in terms of clay, in terms of automotive clay, wood, metal, foam, wires, cardboard, and things like that. A global and successful alumni network over the past 26 years now, which is something that you can leverage. Industry connect, big brands, high value, latest tools, infrastructure, and all of this kind of coming together for a professional portfolio, right? Where the entire syllabus is oriented towards building this portfolio where you can showcase the way you think, your skills, your decision-making skills, critical thinking skills, and finally your vision for the world. Some careers, creative directors, design directors, brand identity, and so on. Some examples of people who have graduated. So that's Julian, who's now the director of design at Mazda. Dorothy, who's the creator of this Messian and object in 2015. David, we spoke about him already. Project lead at IDEO, head of design at Zenith, director of Rolls-Royce. Yeah, so you have some uh, examples of where people have gone after they've been at Strate. So that's the website. That's the person to contact. You can follow us on Instagram, Strate India. We used to do a lot of online sketch sessions, live sessions, and which is something that we will start again. So follow us on Instagram, and yeah, that's it from me. Lovely to see all the interaction from everyone. I had a very interesting discussion.
Thanks so much for that, Mandar. Um, right. So I would like to launch a poll um, for students here, because we've got some questions. A lot of people want to um, visit the design school, visit Strate School of Design, right? So I'm just putting up a poll over here, and I would like as many people here to um, answer this, right? Are you able to see my poll?
Yeah, I think at
Yeah.
least for me it's visible here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, I'm getting responses here. Right. So the idea of this is just to get some feedback, because we don't know whether to organize these visits or not. Number one. Number two, which day it would be done. So it's probably going to be on a Sunday. So a lot of people. Thank you, Vedant. Yeah. So it's probably going to be on a Sunday, so that it's most convenient to people. But the compromise is we miss the DQ Labs classes. So the idea is that we have the workshop at your school, so that the class is not lost, and they also get to see the school. So fantastic. Okay, I'm getting good responses. Yeah, and for those who are not in the city, we'll be doing the online workshop, right? So okay, so that's great. Um, thank you, Mohammed. Okay. Now, I would like people to ask questions if they have any questions, either regarding the school or the topic. Regarding the school, probably when we do the visit or when we do the e-meet, you can get a little more information. But for today, if you have more questions around this topic, I thought this was quite an interesting topic and a very significant topic for students. So, over to anyone who would like to ask questions regarding this topic, both on Zoom or YouTube as well. Right. So even on YouTube, I'm getting questions. People would like to visit the campus. Right. So good. Okay. And this is for parents as well. So Sai Sakit is asking, do y'all offer courses in communication design? Um, Mandar? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I think my internet is a little bit. Yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, so courses in communication design, yes, we do. We call it identity as a stream. So we are looking at, so usually communication design would cover, it could be film, it could be animation, it could be uh, other streams as well. So what we do is we have identity and visual communication as a stream, where we are looking at brands, branding, brand strategy, and basically all the ways in which a brand communicates with its. So it's both 2D, 3D, moving images, let's say, and branding in totality.
Right. So does it have film and video design to be specific?
No, the course that we do does not have film. There are aspects of storytelling, aspects of storyboarding, aspects of communicating visually, but we are not, the course does not deal with making films, or the course does not deal with making animation.
All right. Cool. Are there courses on UI and UX design?
Yeah. So we call it, I mean, we are doing a stream on interaction design, which we feel is not just UX and UI, because UX is user experience. UI is the visual design of how things look. And we go one step deeper or one step wider, let's say, in terms of how people are going to interact, right? So it's not just through a screen, it's not just through an app. It involves a lot of understanding in terms of the methodology, the complexity. It includes AR, VR, IoT. So we look at UX UI, or we look at interaction from more of a interaction design approach of humans and technology, or humans connecting to humans through technology. So it's not ultra focused on being able to deliver apps or screens or wireframes. It's focused on the thinking and the process behind it. Of course, the students will do apps and wireframes and screens, but that's a subset of what the bigger course is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, so there's a question from Saket was asking storytelling and storyboarding. Could you elaborate in a bit about those?
Sure. So storytelling, more and more now is a big part of a brand, right? Or a big part of a product, not just in terms of when you're pitching for it, but also in terms of what is the story of the product. So storytelling would mean understanding how you communicate, not just the features. See, any communication has to do two things. It has to uh, be clear or to communicate the facts. So let's say I have a phone and it communicates, okay, it has this much RAM, it is this, the cost is this, blah, 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 let's say. But then it has to connect with the audience. And for that, the story is more important. So it's not important that it's a 20 megapixel camera or a 50 megapixel camera with 10x zoom. That number maybe doesn't really have as much of impact on me. But if you can say that you can take photos of the moon sitting in your balcony, then it gives me it has more impact, or it is more understandable. So storytelling is how do you structure the story, how do you kind of deal with the emotional journey of the story. And storyboarding is where you kind of lay down what could be the scenario, what could be the panels or the frames, and you kind of put it in a 2D format, frame by frame. So for all the movies or for all the animated shorts, you would have a storyboard first. You would have a story, but you would have a storyboard first where you're looking at what could be the camera angle, what could be the composition, what could be the flow, uh, and things like that. So that's storytelling and storyboarding. So there are some courses on the chat, if I can take them.
Yes, yes. So yeah, go on, go on.
Yeah.
So what
What?
courses are there for product designing?
Okay.
A
So
question
product.
from Mary.
So Mayuri, product design is a course in itself. And I'll take the next one also, because there's start offer a foundation course that covers the aspects of design. So like we said, it's a 5-year thing, which is broken up into 3 and 2. When the students join, you don't choose a stream. So your year 1 is foundation. It's a little bit different than other foundation, where we are following more of a circular approach, where you're not doing only elements of design or principles of design, you're doing projects as well. In the first year, you're also exposed to different streams by doing a project in product, interaction, transport, and so on. At the end of year 1, you choose any 3 that you want to explore further, right? In year 2, you explore those 3 a little bit more, and at the end of year 2 is when you would choose your specialization. So the foundation course is year 1 and year 2. Year 1 is foundation, year 2 is reinforcement. But it's not just about the skills, it's about understanding the stream, understanding the field, understanding how your life would be if you were a product designer, let's say. So that's how, and then year 3 would be the BSc with your chosen stream. For product design can have, various specialities or various offshoots within it. So soft goods is one, consumer goods is one, medical products is one. So we have product design as an umbrella term, and we do various projects depending on where the student's inclination is, and you can choose your own path within the product design stream as well.
All right. All right. So we have a last few minutes left for the last few questions, if anyone has. All right. Right. So what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to share another poll just about this feedback of the session.
Mm-hmm.
So I just get an idea. Right. What's the fee structure of Strate School of Design?
Yeah. Yes. So I think the detailed fee structure, maybe Janvi will get in touch, and maybe Dion, we can share the details with you, and you can distribute it. It's about between 6 to 7 lakhs per year, which is the academic fee, and then there is a component for the hostel. But maybe I can share that with you, Dion. You
Sure.
can share it with, yeah.
Sure, you can do that.
Yeah.
Right. All right, then. I think we have come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, Mandar. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Same here.
And looking forward to having more sessions with you, and possibly on November 20th. The 20th of November, we're planning to do the visit to Strat.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes. We need to just take a small survey and get the feedback from parents.
Sure.
Last question is it mandatory to stay in the hostel?
So it's not mandatory for sure. It's something that we recommended, but there already are students who are day scholars where they are from Bangalore and they stay at home. We have a bus shuttle service which picks up students from certain points in the city and then drops them in the evening. And there are some students who stay as PG, especially the older students. They stay as PG as well. So it's not mandatory. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And on that note, Swati and I had visited the Strat campus last week because we wanted to get a first-hand view, and we thought that the hostels are pretty nicely designed and quite comfortable. So I think it would be nice if parents visit the hostel as well and get a feel of it. Yeah.
But when are we arranging that, John, sir? When are we arranging that, the campus visit?
So 20th of November, we had planned it. All right.
Okay.
20th of November. So we want to do a few school visits just for parents to get an idea. All right.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Definitely interested in visiting the Strat. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayuri is asking a question. What are the college timings?
So school timings are 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. But that does not mean that you will be free on the weekends. There will be homework, there will be assignments, and design, like we said, right? It's not a 9 to 5 job. It's something that you do all the time. But yes, school timings are 9 to 5. Sometimes we have some workshops, hackathons, events, let's say, on weekends. But usually it's Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
All right. Okay. On that note, thanks so much, Mandar.
My pleasure.
Okay. I thought there was a question there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Mandar. Looking forward.
Thank you, everyone. Wonderful session. Thank you for all the feedback and the interaction.